Welcome to the Scottrade webcast. My name is Todd Slauson, and I'm a member of the product development team here at Scottrade. Today, we're going to talk about the new features of the ScottradeELITE Upgrade going out after the market close on December the 13th. The ScottradeELITE Upgrade adds new features and increased functionality, including a layout wizard to help you get started, a quote grid annotation, a recent research list in your research windows, easy save buttons for your templates, and an auto size feature on all grid windows. As always, any symbol used is for demonstration purposes only and should not be considered a recommendation or investment advice. So let's get started. First, let's take a look at the layout wizard. The layout wizard will help you get started in ScottradeELITE. If you're a new user or someone that's interested in seeing new layouts, you can utilize the layout wizard to help you set up your own layout within the template provided. Let's take a look at an example. First, I'm going to click on Wizards and then go to Layout Wizard. In the welcome screen, you'll see the instructions that you're going to go through, choosing your layout template, Windows setup, and saving the layout. I can also click on the online tutorial to view the ScottradeELITE tutorial. I'm going to click on Next, and here you're going to see basic layouts that have been provided to you. Within each screen, you'll see a preview of each layout and tell you what they consist of. If I click on a specific layout, you'll see a small picture of the layout that you're about to create, along with text that tells you what is contained within that layout. Let's go ahead and use General Number 1. This layout contains the order entry window, a quote grid window, charting window, and the streaming news window. I'm going to click on Next, and now we're into the layout wizard. The first step is entering the symbols for the quote grid. This is entered just simply by putting in the symbols separated by a comma. We're going to go ahead and put in Microsoft, Cisco, GE, Yahoo, Google, and Intel. I'm going to click on Next, and you'll see that we're at the chart window. What is the default symbol that you want to look at for your chart? For right now, let's use Microsoft. And we'll look at a daily chart over 6 months. I can also add specific chart styles. We're going to use candlestick and multiple studies. Let's go ahead and add a Bollinger Band. And you'll see that it brings you to the window where you can customize your Bollinger Band. Let's go ahead and change the period to a 20-day Bollinger Band. Click on OK. Next, let's go ahead and add volume. And we're going to change this to show color-coded bars. Click on OK. Now we're going to move on to the next step. This is for the news window. Let's go ahead and use Microsoft again as our default symbol for looking at news. I click Next, and now we're ready to save the layout. We're going to go ahead and enter a name to save the layout. Here you'll see that you can check to have this load at startup each time you log in, and I'm going to click to show it on my layout tab bar. Now I click Next, and I'm to the last page. Again, I have the tutorial link to look at the tutorial for ScottradeELITE, and once I click Finish, it will populate the screen with the layout that I have created. So I'm going to click on Finish, and you'll see that the symbols that we entered for our quote grid are listed. We're looking at the news for Microsoft and a 6-month daily chart for Microsoft. Next, we're going to talk about the quote grid annotation. I'm going to go ahead and extend out my quote grid so you can see all of the buttons at the top. Here, we're going to click on the Settings button, go to Field Selection. I'm going to scroll down, and you'll see Personal Annotation. I can simply double-click on this or use the direction arrows to add it to my selected fields. Once it's added, we'll click on OK, and now you're going to see an area for personal annotation. Here, I can go in, click in the field, and say that I want to enter a note that I bought 200 shares of Cisco at $25. Once I have the information entered, I'm going to hit the Enter button to save that information into that field. Also, any notes that you make, you'll want to make sure to save your layout after you have entered the information so that it's available the next day. If you don't save it to the layout, it will disappear and you'll have to be re-entering that information the next day. And again, to save your layout, you'll simply go up to Layout Manager, Save Current. It's going to ask you to name the layout. We just created the layout test, so we're going to save this layout with the same name. I click on OK. It asks if I would like to overwrite the existing layout, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Yes. Then I can click on Done, and now my personal annotation has been saved to my layout. Next, we're going to look at recent research in your research windows. So let's go ahead and expand this chart so that we can look here. And suppose that you've been looking at multiple symbols throughout the day. And now you want to go back to one of the symbols that you've recently looked at. I can use the drop-down arrow that you'll now see next to the symbol input. Click on that and you'll see the 10 most recent symbols that you've viewed. I can click on any of these and you'll see that the chart changes to reflect that symbol. Again, you'll be able to see the 10 most recent symbols that you've looked at. Next, we've added easy save buttons for any window that has the ability to save templates. Now, we've been working on the quote grid window and we added personal annotation. We've saved this to the layout, but I also want to note how you can now save this to your template file as well. We've added the Save Template button so that all you have to do, click here, enter the name of the template, and click OK. Now, anytime I open a new quote grid, I can come to Templates and load test number 2 that we've just saved as a template. This way, I do not have to recreate any new templates whenever I go to open a new quote grid. The last feature that we're going to look at is the auto size feature on all grid windows. The auto size feature is similar to the column sizing within Microsoft Windows programs. If I simply double click on the line between two columns, you'll notice that it auto adjusts the size of that column to the maximum value within the column. In this case, it was the heading that had the largest value in that column. Okay, this concludes the recent upgrades to Scottrade Elite. Today, we talked about the new layout wizard, the new quote grid annotation, new recent research in your research windows, and the new auto size feature. I want to encourage you to keep checking back for more webcasts from Scottrade. If you have any questions about Scottrade Elite, please feel free to contact your local branch office. Thank you for joining me.